To this now, we've witnessed instability in some municipal councils. In some cases, the mayoral chain has exchanged hands more frequently than expected by residents. The Local Government Municipal Structures Amendment Act seeks to address some of these issues around the formation and the management of coalition governments. It's now out for public comment until the 5th of July this year. Let's now speak to Dr. Levy Ndou, who is a political analyst. Dr. Ndou, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. I mean, we've seen, for example, in some of the councils, motions of no confidence being tabled in councils, and in some cases, quite often, does limiting the number of times of how many motions of no confidence can be brought before, before council, against a mayor, against a speaker. Does it help to limit the number?
Good afternoon to you, Wongiwe. Good afternoon to the viewers at home. My sense is that this is in response to what indeed has been observed in many metros in the country because of instability and poor governance in those municipalities. But what is very central about what the bill intends doing is to respond to why people go and vote for certain parties and individuals. Indeed, if you have got a party that has got a less than a percentage of the vote being in charge of the council, it's a contradiction of what the people said through a vote. So if you have a situation where people that have not been voted by the majority of the citizens given a responsibility, voters feel betrayed or robbed of what they wanted to see. At the same time, because you have minority parties with even less than a percentage running a municipality, it will be caused by the fact that when they were negotiating for these coalitions, they made a demand that has to put them in such higher positions. And whether we like it or not, because they've got a smaller constituency, the people that they report to are very few in numbers, you therefore have a political leader who is not accountable to a reasonable constituency because this person has not been voted into that position by the people themselves. I
suppose then you're referring to the kingmakers as they've become known as. I mean, you listen to what Cocter had to say even this week, and I'm quoting from them. They're saying that this bill or act will seek to deal with unscrupulous manipulation by parties less represented in council to dictate the functioning of council. So then how do political parties begin to get around this? And I ask this because we've seen in some of the cases where a big political party will then come to the table, and when it does, the smaller ones then play hardball. And when you play hardball, you then are saying, you give me this or nothing at all. And because there's a desperation for power, then the bigger political parties then give in. So how do they work around those dynamics?
I think it talks to simple representation on the basis of what the political party got in the elections. It talks to responding to the patterns in which people voted during the elections. It talks to proportionality of how seats are supposed to be allocated and responsibilities as well. That it will be unfair to have a party that has got lesser support to be given a very huge responsibility, which of course contradicts what the ordinary citizens have been saying through a vote. So my sense is that it could be responding to that as well. But another major factor is that it responds to poor governance and unnecessary change of political leadership, because that becomes the source of instability in these councils. At the same time, it also talks to a mandate that when citizens vote, they give a mandate to those that they vote for. So when therefore they get someone who does not have a mandate of the citizens, it therefore means that this person gets into the position of power through the back door, and that contradicts the actual purpose of the vote.
So how much impact then does what you've just described had on councils, particularly when you think about, some instability that we've seen in some of the cases where budgets could not even be adopted, and in some of the instances as well, service delivery then taking a knock?
It brings confusion, and it creates a situation where nobody does not want to take responsibility. The party that has got a smaller support does not have a reasonable constituency to report to. The party that is given the mandate to run, or that has got a bigger support, would actually, when they have to account, they will say, as you know, we are not being given the responsibilities to be in charge. So you have a directionless council, and at the same time you have confusion all around those who voted for that council. And that talks to poor governance. It talks to a situation where stability is not there, because indeed those that are given responsibilities might not even have been ready for such responsibilities.
So in light of that, then should we have a coalition arrangement at national and even provincial government? Do you think we're ready?
We should have learned from what has been happening in our metros. And I think it is time that our lawmakers have to start taking decisions that will ensure that all these issues that talks to poor governance and instability are supposed to be addressed. And I think all the holes that appears to be there should be closed, so that when we get towards a coalition, we should have closed all of them and have a functional coalition government.
It's going to be an interesting one. Thank you so much for your time. And remember that this particular act is out for public comment until the 5th of July this year. So, of course, lots of focus on what needs to happen at municipal level to curb some of the challenges that we've witnessed there. Dr. Ndou, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it. That was Dr. Levy Ndou, a political analyst.